Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis, and welcome back to part 2 of our episode.
I'm Jason.
And you just go by Jason?
Jason Durham.
Okay, Durham. And you work for Festival of the Dead?
Yes, I do. I work for the Festival of the Dead. I am the desk person.
Good. And that must be really a hectic job this time of year.
It is on a Saturday. It's very difficult, but today it's kind of dead.
Okay.
But, you know, it's rainy and the Sox are playing.
Wednesday.
You know.
Okay. Now, are you from Salem originally?
I'm from Malden, which is not very far outside of it, but I started coming to Salem when I was about 14, 15, mostly because of its magical allure,
Okay.
you know, its reputation, and I was always interested in that sort of thing, so.
Now, you did something for me earlier that I'd love to have it. The difference between, like, the Salem witches and Salem tradition?
Well, when people describe Salem witches, they usually mean big names in the Salem community that have been around for a while. Richard and Gypsy, the Pendragons, Cabot. People have been around for a while here, and that's what I think he means by Salem when people say Salem witches. The Salem tradition is something that's more of, it's more what Christian did and what Sean Poirier did.
Yeah.
It's their own sort of tradition, which seems to be more focused, from what I understand. I don't know too much about it because I'm not. From what I understand, it's more about magic rather than worship. Because usually, at one point, Wicca and witchcraft, you know, were interchangeable, and oh, witchcraft's about a god and a goddess, where it's not necessarily so. It's more. It can be, but the focus is more on magic rather than anything else.
I say you've worked pretty close to Christian.
Yes.
You did involved with the organizing this year.
Yes, this year.
And you do a lot of events. I mean, I'm counting 9, 10 events.
Oh yes, tons of them. Classes, the Dumb Supper, Witch's Ball, Vampire Ball.
Tomorrow's the Vampire Ball.
Yes, it is.
And then Friday is the
Witch's Ball.
The official Witch's Ball.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask you a little bit about that?
The official part?
The official part. I mean,
Well, actually, I think he put that there because there aren't any other Witch's Balls for a long time. Cabot has one this year, but that hasn't been done for about 13 years, and when that much time goes by, you kind of think that it's not going to happen, and it's a big party. It seems like a bigger party.
And you guys have been doing this for a while.
Festival of the Dead has been doing it for years. I'm not sure the exact number.
Years, okay.
I'm not sure the exact number because it's my first year here.
You work with a lot of the Salem witches.
Yeah.
Both the Wiccan type and the non-Wiccan types. What would you say that you learned from them? That you would learn that, you know, about...
Salem's about the magic. Whether you're Wiccan or not, Wiccan witch or not, a Wiccan witch or not, there's sort of a spark here. There's something that draws you in here. And that is shared by everyone, Wiccans, witches, Jews, tourists that come here, people who think, oh, that must be such a cool witchy place, you know, after they read about the witch trials in high school. We all have, what we all seem to have in common, this is what I learned, is what I think we all have in common is Salem's allure.
Now I've heard through the various grapevines or the Morning Glory vine, however you want to phrase it, that you're pretty good at magic.
Oh!
I've actually heard that. You laugh.
I suppose.
Can you tell me a little bit about your personal?
My personal practice? I am a polytheistic witch. Mostly because I have issues with the idea of gender and god and goddess. And, you know, heterosexual sex being sort of the epitome of existence, and I don't like it sort of. This is my personal practice. I'm not.
We understand this is always personal.
Yes, I'm not. I don't want to.
You're not talking for anybody but yourself.
I'm not talking for anyone but myself, and I have nothing but respect. But I don't like the idea of, you know, the earth being male and female. You know what I mean? I don't like. Last time I checked, a rock in a tree didn't have a sex organ. That's what, you know what I mean?
Okay.
That's the way I see it. I suppose you can, with the male and female.
Don't either.
And there's also many levels of male and female within it. It's gender is much more of a spectrum than male, female. There are transgenders, there are people that don't quite transgendered, there's, you know, there are gods and goddesses that are very, they don't quite fulfill their gender roles,
Right.
or they're both, or they're neither, and I find that to be more interesting.
So when your magic works, how do you know it works? Do you get a tingling in your arms? Do you?
I feel tingles all over, and and I get a sense of knowing. I just know it'll work, and I kind of know when it won't work. It's weird. Like I try it anyway, but I feel like, oh, this kind of crapped out, and that doesn't usually work. But when I know something, it works. 99.99% of the time, it does. Also, what's big on my spiritual practice is my ancestors,
Right.
which is another thing that's sort of with the Salem tradition that Sean Poirier and Christian Day started. I have an ancestor altar. I feel like it's sorely lacking in a lot of traditions. You like, oh yeah, Samhain, all right. You know, it's sort of, you nod at them on Samhain, but I think that they need to be honored all the time.
Now I've asked this of other people who have been here in Salem. Is there a difference between Halloween and Samhain for you guys?
Not really, not for me. I love it. I think Halloween's, well, yeah, I mean, I guess Samhain is more what you say to people who practice magic, and it's more of a spiritual thing. But I don't think that the spiritual can't be fun either.
Salem is fun.
And Salem is fun. Halloween costumes, and I think costumes, you know, the idea of wearing different masks and all that stuff has very rich folklore and history. It sort of just became a big party, but it's also sort of a Lords of Misrule kind of day. It's the only day, especially in Salem, where adults can act like children.
Now, is Salem fun the other 11 days of the 11 months of the year?
It's different.
How's it different?
There's less of a party, there's less people, it's more personal. But October is what makes it special.
Okay, and you do have a tourist industry here through most of the year.
Oh yeah, well, it's not like nobody comes.
I might have to ask a question on Sean. Did people passed away earlier this year?
Yeah.
And do people miss him?
Yes, I don't really want to speak for Sean too much because I've never met him.
Okay.
I met him, wait, that's not true. I met him a couple times in passing. I don't want to be those type of people that when someone dies, that, oh my God, I knew him when I didn't. You know, that's just silly, but people do miss him quite a bit. I know, judging from what I see all the time, and they tell all the time. All the psychics here, a lot of them are mediums, they go up to his picture and they'll say, you know, they'll talk to him like he's there. You know, well, he is there, but you know what I mean? They'll talk to him normally. They'll say, one of the psychics beat a record, and she's like, ha, you just see that? I beat the record to him, you know? They'll talk like that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your
You're welcome.
I guess when we're talking to a lot of young Wiccans and witches. You know, our show is called Living the Wiccan Life or Living the Witch Life. And what would you tell some people that are interested in entering this lifestyle? Because you got them coming in droves.
They have to understand that once you tune into the earth energy and the seasonal energies and the planetary energies, especially the moon and the sun, it takes you away from the norm, because very few people focus in on that energy, and so everyone else around you will be following a different tide than you are. So you're going to be stepping away from the norm, and you're going to be stepping away from most of society. Everyone for the last 20 years has been trying desperately to say that witches are the same as everyone else, and that's just for acceptance purposes, and it's just not the case, I found. Sometimes it can be very stressful if the planets are in certain places, and society is focusing on one sort of vibration, and you're always going to be focusing on slightly different vibrations. So you have to have the responsibility of knowing that, and you have to also have the responsibility of working with the intimidation that the word witch brings to any situation. And very few people have enough responsibility to be careful and have respect for the word. So if you say that you are a witch and don't want to accept what other people are assuming every day about you, then it will make your life pretty chaotic. So you have to be very strong within yourself, and you have to be very strong in your community and in your ability to handle that.
Well, and you have to be, because like I said, you run 2 shops, you come up here.
Yeah.
Now what happens with your shops during October? Don't they get mad?
My coven runs it, both of them, and I have a split coven, half in Georgia and half in Florida, and it's really only 6 hours away. So we either go up or they come down when we're doing big festivals. But they're running it now, and then if somebody comes in looking for a reading, I have readers. But if they insist on me, if it's my clients, I can give them a phone reading. Or usually they'll wait.
Okay. Outside of reading, what makes you a witch? I mean, people always ask you, what makes you a witch? What made you actually know you're a witch?
From the very beginning, we have I'm Italian, so we have Italian grandmothers who know certain things and teach you tea leaf reading and playing card reading. Teach you, when you're making food, you stir the pot one way for one kind of energy and the other way for the other. That's the early on when I was very young, that's what it was. And then when I got older and broke the news to my parents, they were like, yeah, we know, because you were always very psychic, and they couldn't pull off Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny because I just looked at them like, no. So that's the one way. I mean, if you're psychic to begin with, and then of course, growing up with Roman Catholics, and sitting in the class and hearing about heaven and hell and trying to figure out how it could be possible, and I just never agreed. And it wasn't like I didn't want to, because everybody was, and so when you're that little, you desperately want to be whatever, and I just never agreed. And then as I got older, I figured out more what I was.
Well, that's a good thing. Anything else you would tell the people who would be like young witches who want to come to Salem, or young witches who want to get started on this path?
Again, just remember the responsibility and understand that when you read a book, it's someone else's opinion, and it's not the be-all and end-all of how to do it. Have fun and be comfortable, but also be responsible. So if you're reading a book about how to learn, if you're trying to learn tarot, read the book a couple of times and then take your cards and figure out what's comfortable for you. The same thing with casting a circle, the same thing with making a wand, the same thing with herbalism, the same thing. You really need to just stick your toe in it and see if you're comfortable, and if not, don't worry about it, because you don't have to know every single thing. You don't have to know pendulums and crystals and tarot cards. You can have one thing that you're very good at. And that's how I focus my energy. I would find the one thing that makes me the happiest and learn everything you can about that. Whatever makes your soul sing is really the magic. That's really the magic.
Do you have a website or a way for people to contact you? Or?
Sure. It's JacquiNewman.com, JacquiNewman. CrystalTides.com is the other one.
Okay.
And I can give you my phone number if you want that. It's 772-288-3383. And that's the shop, and you can call anytime.
Terrific. And then if they're in Savannah, or what's the other city in Florida?
Savannah or Stuart, Florida.
They can come and visit you.
Yes, definitely.
Except during the month of October.
Except in the month of October, I'll be here.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you'll join us again next week when we will continue our coverage from Halloween in Salem. Until then, may you blessed be.